Hello and welcome to this slightly different style of recap. This time I am still having issues with the microphone on my camera, so I'm actually recording this straight into my PC while I'm still trying to figure out the camera situation. I wanted to post this about a week or so ago before going on a holiday and recorded it, and then the sound was terrible. So we're going to do it this way for this one. Hopefully for Cytonic I'll be able to have it in the usual format, but we're going to make this work for now. So this is your Starsight recap. This is full spoilers, so if you haven't read Starsight, please don't listen to this video, and I'm going to go through the full synopsis of Starsight starting now. So we pick up 6 months after the end of Skyward, and Skyward Flight are in space beyond the rubble belt, fighting the Krell, who are actually called Varvax. Only their ace ships are manned, and the battle drones are AI. They are part of an intergalactic collective called the Superiority. Spencer is still trying to work out how to use the Cytonic hyperdrive, though the communications she can still hear are called FTL, or faster than light, and she can still use those without trouble. Advanced AI like Mbot wasn't allowed, according to Gran. Some of the platforms in the rubble belt are now usable though, thanks to Mbot, and he now has a hologram bracelet that Spencer can wear so that he can go with her to meetings and continue to communicate with her. He can also use active camouflage, which enables him to use holograms to make himself or someone wearing the bracelet look different. Slug also is still around and seems to like being with Mbot. Rig finds a recording on the platform system, and the team watches it and sees that the humans are panicking on the platform about something called a delver. Spencer can see eyes in the recording. Something unimaginably large appears from a dust cloud the size of a planet, and the people in the recording start to disappear. Spencer sees an image of herself emerging from the cloud that is consuming everything. No one else could see that, and some couldn't even see the eyes or stars which Spencer sees. Jurgen, however, could see the stars and thought he saw a shadow. Rig realises that Mbot is best built for espionage, so he, Cobb and Spencer, along with Mbot, plan to try to use Mbot to infiltrate the Krell. Spencer then feels something coming. It is a manned ship that looks like it's going to crash land on detritus. Spencer is able to prevent the crash landing, and the being inside is humanoid in nature. She is a being called Arlenique. She is an Erdale from the planet Redawn. She isn't a member of the Superiority, but she was on her way to try out for their flight corps. She also has a translation pin that enables Spencer to understand her, and Mbot is able to hack her ship's computer to gain this information. Arlenique is also Cytonic and places the coordinates for the Superiority and a place called Starsight in Spencer's brain. It is fading fast though, so after a short discussion with Jurgen, they decide she should go and pretend to be Arlenique so Spencer can find out what Cytonic hyperdrives are and take one to bring back to detritus. Before she goes, Spencer and Jurgen kiss. Spencer travels through the nowhere, feeling the eyes on her, before she arrives on Starsight. She is greeted by Kuna, who is the one who arranged for Arlenique to be invited. The Superiority are against aggression and only keep a very small military. They control their population by controlling hyperdrives. Cytonics and advanced AI are banned because they draw the attention of the Delvers, the eyes that Spencer sees. It seems that, even with that ban, the Delvers are coming back anyway. The Superiority has a plan to deal with them, but for that they need a larger fight team, and that's why they're recruiting. They need to find people who have the balance of being capable of fighting but not becoming aggressive. Humans are too aggressive, and that's why they are kept in prisons, plural. Winzig is a Varvax and comes with a human to speak with Spencer as Arlenique. The human tests Spencer and determines she's Cytonic. Winzig explains that she can't use her Cytonic abilities anymore. It is a danger to the galaxy. If the Erdale join the Superiority, they'll be given access to hyperdrives. If not, they'll be isolated so they can't harm everyone else. Winzig is very preoccupied with avoiding aggression. There seems to be some friction between Kuna and Winzig. Mbot finds some surveillance equipment in Spencer's lodgings and deactivates them. Kuna is a dione. They can be male, female, or non-binary. Purple dione are non-binary and not yet bonded. Spencer goes to the flight test. She and Mbot figure out a way to send an encoded message to the Airedale to try to prevent them from checking in on Arlenique and to do what the Superiority probably expect her to do. Mbot wonders if he is alive and worries about the fact that he was able to rewrite his own code. While he is thinking about rewriting his code, his systems freeze and he starts clicking before coming back online. Spencer arrives at the platform for the test. There are a gerbil-like species there, some spiky and some balloon-like aliens. There is also a dione who is half red and half blue. This is a bonded pair who are testing out what their potential child's personality could be like. Winzig is also there and seems to be in charge. They're all asked to sign waivers, and a member of the gerbil-like creatures, which are actually more like foxes up close and stand on their hind legs, is addressed as a king and is asking for assurances from the Varvax that joining the flight will guarantee them membership in the Superiority. The Varvax is only able to give a vague platitude. The king creature identifies himself as a kitsune and objects that he is not a king and their people abolished their monarchy. Winzig tries to talk Spencer out of flying. Kuna explains that he thinks that only peaceful people should be in the force, as they are less likely to become aggressive. They begin the exercise, the aim of which is to avoid dying. Spencer soon realises that they're actually using live ammunition on the hopefuls, despite most of them having never been battle trained. Spencer shows how good a pilot and fighter she is, so the drones start to leave her alone. This means that she starts to help others, including the Kitson ship captained by Hisho and manned by many other Kitson. She also helps Moriamor, the unborn dione, and another, and they team up to get through the rest of the exercise. The other isn't named and was flying in one of the Krell drone ships. Braid, the human, isn't interested in teaming up with them. After the battle, Spencer is about to go and have a go at Winzig for using live fire, but someone else beats her to it. They are eventually dismissed for being too aggressive. Spencer goes and has lunch with Moriamor and the Kitsune. They agree to form an alliance, and Moriamor explains more about their dual being. They are made up of both of their parents and retain some of their parents' memories. They are a test personality, and if, after 5 months, their parents are happy, then they will be born. They have some aggression within their personality, and that is why they have joined the flight. Spencer overhears Winzig and some other officials talking. It seems that they didn't actually intend to make the exercise deadly, but Winzig seems unbothered. Braid feels Spencer just as Spencer can feel her, and so Spencer has to return to the group before she gets caught. Spencer, the Kitsune, Braid, Moriamor, and Vapor, who is the figment from the earlier flight, basically a sapient smell, are officially made into a team. Spencer returns to her lodgings. She will have to go to flight school without Mbot, which makes them nervous, and he wonders whether he could copy himself to the ship she's assigned. This would be like reproduction, which would make him more like a person, but the copy wouldn't be as intelligent because its systems aren't set up with faster-than-light communication like Mbot's are. Spencer thinks she sees the Delvers very briefly. In the interlude, we see Jurgen, who is visiting the real Arlenique in hospital. No progress is being made with her care yet, so she can't help them. Detritus narrowly avoids being destroyed by Krell bombs. One of the old platforms, which are there for defence, comes online to save them. The engineers haven't yet figured out how to get the other platforms back online. Cobb explains to Jurgen that the only hope for their survival is escape, but with Spencer gone, they have no way to do that. Jurgen confesses to seeing the eyes, and Cobb takes him to meet Gran. Spencer wakes up to people in her home. Turns out they're cleaners, but she's pretty sure they're there to spy on her. Kuna arrives and explains that she's got Arlenique in so she could spy for Kuna and report back. We also find out that it was the humans who summoned the Delver to try and wipe out the Superiority, but it turned on them. That's what Spencer saw in the recording. Spencer can't take Mbot to training, but she will be hyperjumping so she can try to find out more about it. She also finds out that humans' first contact was with the Kitsune Cytonics. Eventually, when she knows how, she'll be able to hyperjump herself without any need for a ship. Something about the engine room calls to Spencer when they arrive on the carrier ship, and as they hyperjump, she feels something familiar coming from the hyperdrive and hears something scream. As they pass through the nowhere, the Delvers are focused on the scream. Spencer also felt an information dump just before they jumped. The training exercise is for the flights to find a delver inside of a maze, which is guarded by embers that are chunks of rock flying around and trying to knock them down. All of that is surrounded by gases and shadowy matter. Inside the maze are hallucinations that are different for each person, and so everyone must proceed in pairs. They are searching for the heart, which isn't necessarily the centre, but which will have atmosphere and gravity, though no one knows what's there as no one has returned from the heart. The test maze was originally built by humans, and so Winzig doesn't know everything that is in there. Spencer sees an image of herself as Spencer floating in the air. No one else sees this. They return to Starsight, and Spencer and Braid's presence interferes with the cytonic hyperdrive, and so they have to swap to a new one. Spencer senses the information dump again and notices that it is the location of Starsight. She could use this to jump herself there if she needed to. Once she's off the carrier ship and back inside the cytonic blocking shield, she and Mbot can communicate again. Spencer notices that Doomslug doesn't seem to be feeling very well. Her and Mbot discuss the need to have a surveillance drone go and spy on the engine room of the carrier ship so that they can have a look at the hyperdrive. On a practice drill, Spencer and Braid work well together. Vapor confirms that she's on another mission, promises she's not there to kill anyone. Spencer hears Gran-Gran's voice through the stars. She feels sure she knows where Starsight is now and could travel there alone if necessary. Moriamore is struggling with dogfighting, and Spencer reassures them. They then all proceed into the maze to see what it is like. While there, Spencer sees a room with a membrane like the heart is meant to have. Then she perceives the universe and finds all the beings in it annoying, like gnats making noise and biting. She realises this is how the Delvers feel. Spencer doesn't understand how she had this vision. It wasn't sent to her by Mission Control, and no one else saw it. When she gets back, a delivery of some cleaning drones has arrived for Mbot and Spencer to make into spy drones. Mbot has spent his time accessing the Starsight databases to find out more about humans and their interactions with the Superiority. He also finds an article about Doomslug, who is part of a species that is extremely poisonous and who the Superiority instruct that sightings of should be immediately reported to them. They're called the Tanex, and when Moriamore sees Doomslug while visiting Spencer, they are terrified and tell her she needs to destroy it. Spencer says that Doomslug isn't a Tanex, but another similar-looking species. The spy drone Spencer and Mbot are making is going to use some of Mbot's components, and he will copy over some of his code. He sees it as a bit like his child, except when he thinks about that, or about copying himself in general, he goes into the clicking mode. Spencer and Mbot see a televised press conference discussing detritus. Some are calling for the human population there to be wiped out because it has become too aggressive. The spy drone is ready and they need to put their plan into action because detritus is running out of time. The drone can camouflage itself with holograms and will go into the engine room to take pictures and video. Spencer also attaches a pistol to it so that she can sneak that in as well. Gran is trying to teach Jurgen to hear the stars. He can't hear anything from above, but sometimes he feels like he can hear something from below. Spencer takes the drone with her to the next flight, which is being observed by various officials. During the flight, Braid is starting to be a bit more chatty with Spencer. They reach the heart of the Delver maze and Braid tests out the weapon. It places the location of detritus in Spencer's brain, and she realises that Winzig's plan, if a Delver appears, is to send it to destroy detritus. Spencer tries to persuade Braid how wrong that is, and Braid explains that she's been trying to recruit Spencer as Arlenique. They need more cytonics to be able to fight the Delvers. Spencer feels the location of detritus in her mind and knows that she could now travel there by herself, but she needs to go back for Mbot and Doomslug. Back on the carrier ship, the drone is in place to observe the hyperjump. Spencer reaches out to a mind she can hear dealing with the cytonic communications to try to force the hyperdrive to malfunction and need replacing so that she can be sure that the drone sees it. It works and the hyperdrive is swapped and the drone films it. As they jump, Spencer feels like a Delver is watching her. When it is trying to leave, though, the drone sets off an alarm and is going to be caught. Spencer instructs it to start firing the gun she left strapped to its back. She then hears through cytonic communications that there is an attack and goes to help. While helping, she smells lemons, but doesn't realise until later that this is Vapor watching her. She manages to rescue the drone by shooting the gun itself as a distraction while the drone flies back into her bag. When they are disembarking, Spencer is called over by Kuna and she goes back to Starsight in their shuttle. She smells lemons again and realises that Vapor is there and working for Kuna. Kuna thinks Spencer knows the secret to hyperjump technology. She doesn't think the Superiority will have control over this technology much longer. Together, they watch the footage recorded by the drone, and Spencer sees that the hyperdrive is a slug that looks just like Doomslug. Suddenly, things start to make sense, like why Doomslug can move around so easily and quickly, why she's been sick while on Starsight, and why there is a Superiority warning about her species. Kuna takes Spencer back to her home and explains that she thinks there is a need for some aggression, and she wants to bring the lesser species into the Superiority. Throughout the course of discussions, Kuna shows that she has a portal to the nowhere and she sends someone through it. Spencer realises that Kuna is serious about wanting to help the humans and so reveals her true self. Kuna is initially surprised, but they agree to try to help each other, and Kuna lets Spencer take the parts of the drone that she needs for M-Bot. As Kuna is about to take Spencer back to her housing, Vapor arrives to tell them that their flight has been mobilised because there has been a Delver sighting. Spencer goes along so she can find out what is happening. Winzig says the thing that was shot earlier was a gun of human origins. He is therefore sending the flights to deal with the human scourge on detritus. Spencer reveals herself to Braid in an attempt to persuade her to help stop this from happening. Braid tries to warn everyone, but they can't hear her. Spencer runs using her allocated ship. She's trying to reach M-Bot, but he is clicking. She realises she needs to leave him and Doomslug and get the information she has back to detritus. Just before she jumps, M-Bot comes back online and asks her not to leave. She promises to come back for him. In the nowhere, a Delver looks at her and she feels like she is being followed by it. The carrier ship from Starsight arrives shortly after Spencer does. She feels weird being back on detritus, disorientated. She goes to report to Cobb. She feels terrible about the battle because she now has friends on both sides, and she's trying to figure out what Winzig is trying to do. She can hear that he is broadcasting the battle back on Starsight, and she also hears Braid screaming into the nowhere. Spencer realises that Winzig is trying to make as much noise as possible to bring a Delver. She has to do something and tells Cobb that she has to go. Spencer finds Hisho and convinces him and his crew to join her by telling them what Winzig is really up to. He's angry at first, but he is eventually persuaded, particularly by his crew. Spencer tells him the secret to hyperdrives. Vapor joins them as they search for Braid to shut her up before the Delver arrives. Moriamore stayed back on Starsight. Spencer gets Cobb to order everyone silent to cut down on the noise, and she and the Kitsune and Vapor try to stop Braid. Spencer gets the opportunity to kill Braid and so tries to do so in order to stop her, but that causes a death scream that finally brings the Delver through, and that causes Braid to be pushed out of the way of the shot. It is all quiet though, and so there is no noise to annoy the Delver. It ends up with Spencer's help redirecting and going to Starsight. Spencer jumps herself, the Kitsune, and Vapor back to Starsight to help. Hisho unfortunately died, along with other Kitsune in the battle with Braid. Moriamore, back on Starsight, is about to go through the redrafting process when the Delver arrives. They don't go through the process and instead go to help. Spencer tries to get to the heart of the Delver, but her cytonic senses connect with it too well and she's completely disorientated. Luckily, Moriamore finds her and is able to tow her with them. Because they are made up of two people, they see two sets of hallucinations, and so can tell what is and isn't real, meaning they can easily navigate through the maze. They get to the heart and find a dark pit which Spencer jumps into. There she finds a white room with an image of herself. She realises the Delver is just mirroring her back to herself. Spencer shows the Delver that the noises it hears and finds annoying are actually people. The Delver is horrified by this discovery and flees back to the nowhere, leaving Spencer suspended in space. She blacks out, but Moriamore is able to pull her into their ship. Spencer wakes up back on Starsight in a hospital. Kuna explains that she plans to take Winzig down now that he has shown how dangerous he is. However, he has spun it that it was the humans that sent the Delver, and now he's trying to capture Spencer. She disguises Kuna with one of her holographic projectors and tries to escape, but first she needs to find M-Bot. Meanwhile, Moriamore has been born. Braid helps as Spencer is about to be captured and explains that she wants to recruit Spencer and the humans to fight the Delvers, but Winzig makes it seem like the ship that Braid shot down was actually shot down by Spencer. When she eventually finds Mbot, he's been completely torn apart by the Superiority technicians. However, he did manage to copy his code to the modified cleaning drone. He was also able to modify his code to enable him to do this and to self-pilot, but it took a long time because after each small portion, he'd go into his clicking mode. He's also very slow and sluggish in this new body, and angry and upset with Spencer for abandoning him. Spencer finds Doomslug and they need to find a way out. Without a ship though, Spencer doesn't have a plan, until she remembers the portal to the nowhere, and that is where she takes herself, Mbot and Doomslug. Back on Detritus, Jurgen can still hear the planet, and in a deep cavern he finds the source of that sound, a huge colony of Tanix. And that is where Starsight ends. And I'll be back next time with a recap of Cytonic. So that's it for this one. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye.